Hi guys, this is Klazartsc bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commenting on Game 1 of the OnGameNet Duel Tournament Group E matchup between Savior and Canata. As a lot of you guys I'm sure know, the OnGameNet Duel Tournament is the precursor tournament leading up to the OnGameNet Star League Finals. And unfortunately for Savior, because of his crashing out against Bisu, and I suppose it's unfair to call it a crashing out, it was a splendid performance for Bisu, and I wouldn't say I was underwhelmed in any way by Savior. He really acquitted himself well, and I think against any other Protoss player on the day he would have triumphed. Hint hint Stork, hint hint. But here we are, Savior did not triumph, and therefore he has to go through this rigorous process. And I have to say that I'm a little bit uncomfortable about the whole duel tournament setup. Because any player on their day can take a match from any player. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're more deserving to take just one map. That doesn't mean, in my view, that they're more deserving to play in the Star League Finals. And probably this is my Savior bias talking here. But I do feel that a best-of-1 matchup versus different players does make it very difficult for the good players. And that's why a lot of players, when they fall into the OnGameNet Duel Tournament, they get caught in a slump, and it's very difficult to recover from that. However, that being said, it does also give an opportunity to newer and upper-coming players, and without this opportunity, they wouldn't get the chance to go and compete at the highest level against the biggest players and hone their skills there and prove themselves. So I think in that respect, it does balance out a little bit. I suppose I am a big fan of Savior, and I think on that concept, it's interesting to talk about fandomism. But before I do that, I just want to give you guys a little bit of information about the status of the game here. Canata is in red at the 12 o'clock position, playing Terran, and Savior obviously in the 3 o'clock position in Zerg. And that's just for those of you guys who aren't familiar with these two new players. I'm sure most of you would be these two players, new fans. I'm sure most of you would be familiar with Savior, though perhaps a few of you might not be as familiar with Canata if you haven't been paying attention to the Pro League, which is mainly where Canata applies his trade for SK Team 1. And SK Team 1 have really fallen off. I can only remember a couple of seasons ago they actually were at the top of their game. They were winning the Pro League. And since Boxer's departure, the team seems to have severely lost his luster, and Canata with some serious fashion issues there. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. Maybe he feels the cap over his head is going to help him listen better or concentrate better. I don't know what it is. Maybe that's his thinking cap. But I wouldn't be caught seen in that outfit. And anyway, okay. But I suppose I'm not really a fashion expert. Savior's gone for the 3-hatch rebuild, and that's interesting. I fully expect Savior to triumph on the day. I think it's really unfair that Savior has been dropping down in the power rankings on Team Liquid, and I think it's a little bit unfair. I think it's also unfair to say that Savior is not playing really good StarCraft. I mean, he was playing some stunning StarCraft, and I think if Bisu hadn't stopped him when he did, I think there was a strong chance Savior could have gone all the way. Although that being said, Jaedong's Zerg versus Zerg is also his strongest matchup. So it's difficult to say. Canata just sending a couple of Marines out to scout. He'd walled off his choke because this map is Katrina, and it does favor fast expansion. I think that is why Savior has gone for the 3-hatchery build, because he knows how easy it is for the Terran to fast expand, and the 3-hatchery build is specifically designed to counter that Terran fast expand. So it'll be interesting to see how Savior will play this game. I think the fact that it's a large map will give Savior that extra maneuverability that he needs, that he traditionally uses in order to buy himself time between the Terran push, and slow down the Terran push, keep the Terran player in his base and away from him. But however, that being said, the fact that Kanata's main is unassailable, Kanata's natural expansion is going to be... Savior just sending a couple of drones out. I think he suspected that Canata might be coming for some sort of a little push, or perhaps try and build a bunker, although there's only one SCV there. I think Savior just sending a couple of drones out just to check, but relieved that there was nothing coming. He pulls them back. Canata obviously having fast expanded. Savior should be able to... I don't think Savior's overlord just over that cliff is in range to really see that natural expo off Kanata's, but he's probably aware now that is what Canata is building. So as I was saying, I am a huge fan of Savior, and it might interest you guys to know that the term fan actually derives from the word fanatic, which is someone who believes unrepentantly and just completely determinedly in something without any logic, rhyme or reason. And in that respect, Savior has started mining gas from his extractor in his natural expo. Interesting enough, he has not taken the extractor in his main. So, but I don't think it's going to bother Canata, because I think he saw that with his SCV, and that SCV just being taken out, that scouting SCV just being taken out by Savior. Zergling's trying to take that scouting SCV out. Canata, it'll be interesting to see his build on the other hand. He's got his refinery up as well, and now he's starting up his academy, and he's built 2 barracks. So interesting enough, he's went for 2 barracks first. So we're going to see an early push here from Terran, from Canata, and that's one of the things. I mean, Zerg players tend to be weak, and Savior sending this early into scout has not really going to be able to see what's coming. But this might be difficult for Savior to do. Savior's got that lair straight away building. He hasn't got any Sunkens yet. He hasn't got any creep colonies yet. And he doesn't have too many Zerglings either. So Savior at risk of being caught off guard a little bit by Kanata here. But at the same time, Savior is very famous. And this is really a hallmark of Savior's genius and his play versus Terran, is his ability to defend with the minimum number of defenses and units. And that is what really allows him to triumph so strongly and come out so strongly late game, come out with those early defilers and that early tech. Savior starting up the evolution chamber as well, so he's going to have his Queen's Nest going up quite quickly, I would suspect. So it'll be interesting to see what Kanata's doing. Kanata's going to try and pressure Savior into spending at least a little bit of resources on some sort of defensive, on some sort of defense, on some Sunkens, so that he can slow Savior down a little bit. I don't think it's wise for Kanata. Kanata now has got his first group of Medic and Marines up, and this group is going to be crucial both for Savior and for Kanata. Kanata now setting up the factory as well, and Savior I think has seen the Marines. I'm not sure if he's seen the Medic. I think by now he should have seen the Medic. He should be aware of what's coming, and he doesn't have a lot of time to really, and Kanata's got an engineering bay up as well, so he's going to be researching upgrades for those Marines as well, and Savior might be in a little bit of trouble here. He doesn't have a lot of Zerglings. He's now putting one Sunken up, and he's now going to try and start the second Sunken up. That SCV is going to get taken out. So Savior's going to have his Sunkens up in time. He's got one Sunken up. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. The question is whether he can delay Kanata enough. And actually, looking at the radar, looking at the minimap, I don't see Kanata's Medic and Marine force. It looks like Kanata has retreated, and Kanata has retreated to his choke. So that was relatively clever by Kanata. He's pressured Savior into spending resources on a couple of Sunkens and then pull back his Marines. I thought he was going to go in there and try and do some damage, but Kanata wisely pulling back. And it'll be interesting to see whether he goes for tank or whether he goes in. And he's not going to do that. And I thought he wouldn't. I didn't think that he would. I thought he would go for a starport ASAP, because that's really what you need to be able to harass the enemy. Savior though did go for that lair quite early, and was not worried. And I think it was a little bit of careless of Kanata. He could have pressured Savior a little bit faster, a little bit earlier. And this is the thing with Zerg players: if you just let them do what they want to do, if you just let them grow without challenging them, that can really serve to your detriment later on in the game. And I think that is the mistake Kanata is playing. I think he is turtling a little bit, and I think Katrina can lull players into a false sense of safety, and it can give them a little bit of overconfidence. And now he's amassed a large force, Kanata has, of Marines and Medics, and it'll be interesting to see how this game pans out, because both players have really done very little to harass each other. That being said, Savior's got his lair up, he's got his spire up, Kanata's now got that starport up, he does not have siege tanks, he's going to rely on drop tech, but Savior very cleverly has kept himself confined to that one small area, so that makes it much easier for him to defend. Obviously Savior's going to want to get that third gas, and that's where that starship, dropship play is going to come in handy for Kanata. And Savior now going for the Queen's Nest. He's also going for Mutalisk, interestingly enough, so he's going for Mutalisk, so he's going to do some Mutalisk harass, and Savior obviously does have some very legendary Mutalisk control. I think his Mutalisk control is superior to July. July's is more audacious, but I think Savior's is more calculating and overall yields better results. And Savior indeed going for the third gas. He's going for that as close to his main as he can. He's going for that at the 5 o'clock position. So this is where the game's going to start getting interesting. If Kanata can multitask and get drops all over the map, keep Savior on the back foot, then he's going to have a chance of taking this game.